Hello and welcome to Mercedes Racing, and back in AMS2 having another look at the latest update. There's been another update since the last video, so we're now up to 1.5.5.2. So we will have a quick read through the changelog, and I thought we'll have a look at a couple of the new Gen 2 GT3 cars, and I'll give my general opinion. So, without further ado, changelog version 1.5.5.2. UI and HUD. Fixed automatic clutch input bind label being inconsistently named in different states. Physics, minor slick tread adjustments for LMDH, Formula High-Tech Gen 2, Formula V12, GT1, GTE, GT3, both gens, GT4, G55 Cup, GT5, G40 Cup, Stock V8, all seasons, Super V8, LMDH, I thought we already mentioned that, Cadillac DPI, P1, both gens, Group C, Formula Racer, Formula Ultimate Gen 2, Formula USA Gen 1 to 3, and 2023 Speedway Compound. Minor wet tyre tread adjustments for Formula Classics, Formula High-Techs, Formula V12s, Formula V10s, Formula Racer, Formula Ultimates, Formula USAs, Formula 3, Formula Inter, Formula Trainers, LMDH, DPI, P1, P2, P3, P4, GTE, GT3, GT4 classes. Adjusted the baseline pressure for GT3 Gen 2 and LMDH to account for the removal of tyre warming blankets. Setup reset recommended. LMDH slightly increased brake torque. Added a medium compound option for Formula High-Tech Gen 2. McLaren 720S EVO increased the max bump stop stroke packer range to 4 cm from 1 cm. AI adjusted distance AI cars look ahead for slower lapped traffic and added new parameter for faster cars to see even further ahead. Slightly increased avoid ratios for AI and lower aggression ranges. AI line redos for Cascades, Fontana Speedway, Montreal Historic 1991, Le Mans Bugatti, Kansai East and West. Further adjustments to AI rates for lateral movements and distance thresholds for passing routines to kick in. Increased fuel threshold for AI to decide to pit for fuel on a long track for endurance cars, LMDH, Cadillac DPI, P1 both gens, GTE, GT3 both gens. Bumped up AI skill spread on ovals to the same level of main road course variants to minimise excessive pack racing on ovals. Adjusted AI tyre wear degradation for all Formula USA classes. AI calibration pass for GTE and LMDH, DPI and P1s. AI wet performance calibration pass for Formula Classic Gen 4, Formula High-Tech Gen 1 and 2, Formula V12, Formula V10 Gen 1 and 2, Formula Racer, Formula Ultimate Gen 1 and Gen 2. Tracks, Le Mans, additional 3D marshals, fixed visual gaps in the track near Porsche Curve, adjusted Armco LOD switching near Mulsanne, added more of the remaining trackside objects, adjusted an abnormal bump in the runoff area near the Arnage exit curb, fixed issue where tyre wall objects might not be rendered in some external cameras, adjusted track cameras in Bugatti layout to remove obscured views, added flagged LEDs to Kansai, Interlagos, Hockenheim and Monza. Fixed safety car parking location for Kansai and Hockenheim. Nuremberg 1971 fixed the misalignment and added collision to the continental podium barriers in the paddock. Jerez 1988 fixed body parts LOD behaviour on some 3D animated actors. Vehicles fixed car exterior rain effects oscillating between dry and wet. Mercedes-AMG GT3 EVO fixed inverted cockpit banner. GTE added luminescent number panels from the BMW M8 GTE. Updated display, improved cockpit lights, windscreen banner added. BMW M8 GTE updated display and improved cockpit lights, added windshield banner. Formula High-Tech G2M2 fixed cockpit windscreen and mirrors double mesh issues. And that is the end of that reading, so I will just carefully place it on the floor over there, not throw it. I feel like I'm losing my voice here. really sound like it as well, but whatever. Right, I'll just turn my fan on. Sweating. I'm doing bugger all and I'm sweating. That's better. 2 fans. Right, what I thought we would do is we'll just do a 3-lap race. Just me. That way I can get a reasonable idea of sort of how the cars feel. We're going to start with the Merc. There are, of course, 4 cars. The 720S EVO, 992, the AMG and the M4. Now, I have now driven all of these, but I have to say I will leave my conclusions till the end. Right, I got this on default date, heavy preset for rubber. I had been testing on medium, so that was probably a dumb move, wasn't it? We'll of course go with the default setup, so no messing about. Be interested to see how it feels with the heavy preset and with warmed up tyres. Because the one thing with the cold tyres, especially with the Merc, wasn't so obvious with the other cars, but the Merc felt really vague on the brakes with cold front tyres. You don't get that problem with the Gen 1 because it's got tyre blankets, whereas the Gen 2s haven't. General feeling, I'm not sure if I actually prefer the Gen 2 or the Gen 1 version of the AMG car. The Gen 2 seems to have more rotation on it. Like I said, whether that's because I've been testing it so it hasn't got preheated tyres, and I've been using, medium track, that was a bit shit, medium track rubber. Well, that's part of the issue, but then you can definitely see there's plenty of rotation in the car. It's not sort of silly over rotation, it's just a lot of rotation available with a bit of throttle, so you can generally counter steer around it without too many problems. But I definitely got the impression it's got more rotation on the Gen 2 than the Gen 1 had. I did back to back them a couple of times just to make sure I was not imagining it, and no, definitely the Gen 1 feels a little bit more stable. See what sort of lap times we put in. Like I said, I've been trying out with medium rubber, so they should be, assuming I can remember how to drive a car, slightly quicker. Now, I would make a comment on the AI, but the only testing I've done with the AI was the race we did with a mixed class of real people driving the LMDHs with a bunch of GT3 Gen 2 cars around Watkins Glen, and that's with just the Grand Prix circuit without the loop. And I did find the AI did a reasonable job. A couple of times they caught me out. I was just not expecting them to move over so far or do something, but generally speaking, considering the at times ridiculous differential in performance between the LMDH. The GT3, I think they were not too bad. Certainly usable. We've got one more lap to go. Oh, look at that. Ooh. Again, a little bit of excess rotation on entry there. A little bit on exit as well. Am I trying too hard? Probably. Oops. Is it going to say, I thought it might. Again, getting a bit of a entry rotation there. Not my best piece of drive on this car, I have to say. 2 minutes, 0.3-ish, with a potential for a 2-minute 2-minute.1. I did do a sort of 20.06 or something earlier, I think it was. I forgot to check. But yeah, it's got a bit of extra rotation, so just save a replay so I can put it in the corner. Yeah, I think I do actually prefer the slightly more neutral feeling of the older car, but this thing's definitely quicker. About a second on average for what I was finding. So yeah, definitely a bit more rotation on entry and on exit. You could probably dial it out with a little bit of tinkering, but I don't tend to tinker. Right, let's try the same thing, but with McLaren. One thing you'll see about the McLaren is my hands are huge. Either put the driver up a little bit or move back a bit, because I'm sort of in a slightly weird position here. Like I said, huge hands. Now the McLaren, I think, is slightly better in the Gen 2 version and the Gen 1. Feels slightly more neutral. Not a huge amount in it, it's actually quite close in terms of feel. Certainly a lot closer than the two Mercedes are to each other. So it's just a slightly more refined version. Now I will say this car is really organic and dynamic to drive. It's like you're working all the time with it. Oops, bit too much curb. Yeah, you find you're really having to work at it, but in a really nice way. Might be a bit late turning in there. And it feels like it's sliding all the time when you're in the corners. Not in a nasty way, but in a... At one end or the other is doing something. So it's very organic and dynamic to drive, so it's a very engaging car. Like I said, it's very, very similar to the Gen 1, just more of everything really. Got a really nice rotation through there. Let's try not to rip the front wheel off on the curb this time. What we're going to have? Interesting, because that's pretty much the same time as I was doing on medium rubber. A little bit of push through there. So a little bit more rotation through a slower corner. Get a beep. No. Get a bit of a sweat on. So not a million miles out from what I did in the Merc. Interesting though, but I'm sure I did 2 minute flat in this thing on medium rubber in a test session as well, so interesting considering it's meant to have less rubber for a medium than it is for this, so interesting. Again, the difference between this and the Gen 1 isn't huge in terms of feel. This, I think, is a little bit more organic, a little bit more dynamic. Certainly not in a bad way, certainly in a good way. It's definitely a bit quicker. Again, there's about a second between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2. Now the Porsche, the 992, I think is, again, a really nice improvement on the 991, but you can't necessarily go, well, it's just an Evo off, because it is I think an all new car. I'd have to check that, but and the M4 is definitely a different animal to the M6. So yes, there are some differences in the other one that you'd have to sort of go, well, you can't really just compare them. Why did it not save it? Has it already saved it? I must have saved it automatically, hopefully. If it hasn't, I'll be annoyed, because I won't be able to do a replay. But yeah, all 4 of the new cars are quite nice to drive. I think the Merc, if I had to put them in order, I'd probably put this one at the top, because it's just such a nice dynamic driving experience in a really nice way. The Porsche would probably be the second, BMW third, and I think I put the Merc at the back of the grid purely because it's got a little bit too much rotation on it at times. But again, I'm talking about absolutely out of the box stock settings, nothing done to them at all. So you could probably tune out any slight idiosyncrasies you might find if you, unless of course you're running the fixed setup championship, in which case I might go for the Porsche, because I can get a slightly quicker lap time out of the Porsche than I can out of this. But it's not quite as engaging as drive. It is, I mean, it's just a gnats between the two, but very nice additions. I think it's so long since I've driven the previous Gen 1 cars in anger. I'm assuming they're better than they were. I certainly don't remember them being quite as stable and as nice to drive as they are now. So I drove all the Gen 1 cars sort of earlier today and went, they all feel quite nice. Like I said, the Merc actually feels better in the Gen 1 than the Gen 2 does, but it ain't as quick. Definitely all the same make versus the Gen 1 version of were quicker than the Gen 1, so it was about a second, generally. Half a second to a second and a half, maybe, if you sort of take into account I've done a few laps, I'm probably getting quicker. But all in all, some really nice additions, and I look forward to them getting in my way again on Saturday when we're having a blast around Le Mans in the LMDH cars. They were quite good fun round Watkins Glen. I suspect there'll be more fun round Le Mans where you got slightly more overtaking opportunities, hopefully. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we'll get a full grid of people as well, which will help. I think we only had 10 the other day. Should be 15 of us on Saturday, hopefully. So that's enough waffle for me. General opinion, great addition, and some nice improvements in physics overall of the Gen 1 cars as well. I will have to do a bit more driving and give you some more of my weighty opinions at another date. So, for me for now, before I lose my voice completely, enjoy your driving, have fun, and I will catch you again soon. Goodbye. Where's my button?